guys, so today I decided to film a video that talks about cultural identity. So I'm just going to give you guys some insight from a few of my friends about their experiences in college and being close with their cultural identity, and they will be giving you tips and advice on how to stay close with them. So, hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. What's your name?
Vanita.
Hi, I'm Marco Landon Siu.
My name's Lauren.
Hi, my name is Faustina Ngo.
Harpreet Niger.
And what's your major?
My major is molecular cell biology.
I am a history major specializing in war, revolution, social change with a minors in ethnic studies and education studies.
I'm a Chinese studies major, but I'm also pre-med, so it's kind of double major. I'm a cog-sci major with a specialization in neuroscience.
Major is global health, but I'm trying to transfer into public health.
Woo, global health majors! So, how's your college experience so far?
Good! Have my ups and downs. I started with a down, and then I went to an up. I am Indian, but like from India.
It's Chinese, Vietnamese, American, or just Asian American. It's fine.
Punjabi. I'm a Filipina Chinese American.
Culturally, I identify as Chinese American, but for the broader sense, as of now, I identify as Asian American.
How do you stick with your culture and stay close with your cultural identity while you are in college?
Well, I haven't really had exposure back home to both the Filipina and Chinese side, so I decided to major in Chinese studies because I'm very interested in my own culture, and I joined KP, or Kaibigan Filipinao, to kind of reconnect with the Filipino side of me. I joined the dance team. Traditionally, I'm a traditional dancer, and so then I decided to join a dance team that's close to my hometown in India. So it's called Ras Garba, and it's a lot of fun.
Did you ever struggle with your cultural identity?
Yes, I did. A lot of times, actually. I guess one prominent time would be when I visited Vietnam, and I knew that I had both a Chinese and Vietnamese background.
Yeah.
Added on with the American identity, so I was very lost and confused when I was in Vietnam, and I was surrounded by Vietnamese people because I didn't really speak the language.
Yeah.
And I was just very confused, and I didn't feel like I belonged. And everywhere, everyone would just be speaking Vietnamese, and I would just be super confused, and I would always ask my mom and be like, hey, what are they saying? What are they saying?
Yeah.
What is she saying? Can you translate for me, please? And I would just tag along to wherever they went, not knowing what was going on, which is why when I went to Hong Kong and I understood exactly what they were saying in Cantonese because I'm pretty fluent, I actually felt like I belonged, and I had a really good time because I understood everything, and I just felt a sense of community.
I have struggled with being specifically Chinese American for the longest time, mainly because I've come from a first generation family who speaks predominantly Chinese and doesn't really speak any English. So going into, for example, elementary school open house events where they would bring in their family, I would purposefully not tell my mom or dad that they would have these events because I was really ashamed of them having an accent in English that a lot of kids back in my time used to mock a lot. And even now they mock Asian accents all the time. And so specifically with Chinese accents, it's very apparent that they have an accent. So I tried to hide them away as much as possible, and thus I tried to hide away my culture of being Chinese, which I guess really resulted into who I am today, which is why I said I identify more as Asian American, as the Asian American struggle in the broader America sense rather than a Chinese American struggle, because I tended to push the identity away from myself.
And has coming to college made you more closer with your cultural identity or more distant?
I would say it's a mix of both. I come from Fresno, and Fresno has a pretty expansive Punjabi community, whereas here in San Diego, especially at UCSD, I didn't really see that. But because of that, it kind of made me move closer to finding people who are Punjabi and identify as Punjabi and getting closer to them.
Yeah.
Whereas in Fresno, I always knew they were there, so I never really took the opportunity to get close to them. And with doing that, I was able to join this club called SSA, which stands for Sikh Student Association. It's a religious club. And through that, I was really able to establish close ties with my religion and learn more about it, as well as the Punjabi community, and just learn more about who we are. Because when I was in Fresno, because I was just surrounded by it, it just kind of felt natural.
Yeah.
But then coming here, I realized it's not always going to be around me.
Yeah.
And so that in a sense, it forced me to grow closer to people who are Punjabi because
Yeah.
I realized like how comforting it is to like have people of your like culture or religion with you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Like I was able to learn a lot more about like my community and my culture and my religion in coming here.
As of right now, I'm sort of in a limbo where I started realizing that I've been suppressing my cultural identity, specifically being Chinese American. And so now that I've started realizing that, and I want to identify as Asian American in the struggles of the greater API community, but I also now want to be more involved in the Chinese American community, which is why I decided to join Casa now, to be more involved in their culture show and what it means to be really Chinese American, because I haven't really explored that aspect of my life a lot.
I definitely think so, because if I hadn't joined SSA, I wouldn't have grown as close to my religion and like learned as much about it as I did.
Got it.
And just like, as long as you're getting yourself out there and meeting people and joining clubs, like regardless, like your knowledge is gonna grow, your experiences are gonna grow, like you can't go wrong. And I think it was really beneficial for me, especially because like when I was in Fresno, I was a little like closed off from Sikhi, but in coming here, like I realized like what a beautiful religion it was.
Yeah.
And like meeting people and like them talking to me about it, and then like learning about people from like different universities and hearing what they have to say about it, and just like expanding my network and all that. I think it was really great. Yeah.
Nice. So would you say one of the best things for students that are currently coming into college to find themselves culturally is to like join clubs and organizations, or what tips do you have?
I definitely think so, because if I hadn't joined SSA, I wouldn't have grown as close to my religion and like learned as much about it as I did.
Got it.
And just like, as long as you're getting yourself out there and meeting people and joining clubs, like regardless, like your knowledge is gonna grow, your experiences are gonna grow, like you can't go wrong. And I think it was really beneficial for me, especially because like when I was in Fresno, I was a little like closed off from Sikhi, but in coming here, like I realized like what a beautiful religion it was.
Yeah.
And like meeting people and like them talking to me about it, and then like learning about people from like different universities and hearing what they have to say about it, and just like expanding my network and all that. I think it was really great. Yeah.
I would say to just persevere, because I feel like I didn't really understand like my entire background and like what I was, I guess, until I came to college and I joined this organization called APSA, and it stands for Asian and Pacific Islanders Student Alliance.
Yeah.
And it's they basically helped me like learn a lot about like Asian American identity.
I would definitely say to embrace the feelings that you're having, because if it wasn't for the shame that I was feeling back then, I would never learn to really appreciate it back then. Of course, I'm not saying to really disregard what your culture is and to really suppress it, but allow for the process of you digesting what it means to be your specific cultural identity, whether that be Chinese American, Vietnamese American, Mexican American, Laos American, Cambodian American. All of the narratives regarding that isn't one-sided, and it doesn't have one specific story. If you do take a while to really develop your pride and culture in this, especially in America right now with our political atmosphere, take the time to do so.
One thing that you think is like the best part about being Asian?
The boba.